it shook me to my core. And I was like, what am I waiting for to try new things? And if you've ever watched figure skating, there's a lot of spinning and a lot of jumps with a lot of turns, and you can get disoriented very easily. Manifestation really is just deciding that you want to do something and believing in yourself that you can do it, and that you just need to take some steps towards doing it and making it happen. Welcome. I'm Caroline Leishman, and this is Fireside Rebels. It's a community for women, those of us I'm in my 50s, people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, looking to reinvent themselves, looking for something new, wanting to reignite their next chapter. So I wanted to create a community and a space to share stories, to hear from other women on how they're just taking risks and sometimes completely reinventing themselves in their next chapter. As I'm recording this, I am 57 years young. And I remember someone saying to me years ago, I heard it somewhere, today is the youngest you're going to be for the rest of your life. I was like, oh, good Lord. That's okay. That's shocking, but true. Yeah. Every single day, the next day, you're another day older. And that really, I mean, it seems so basic and simple, but it shook me to my core. And I was like, what the fuck am I waiting for to try new things? I mean, I think I've been a bit of a unicorn my whole life in not, I have taken risks and done things that are really kind of unexpected. And I was really blessed with really great parents, and my parents were, I mean, they did everything for my brother and I. They really lived for us, and they raised us to believe that we could do anything we set our minds to. And I grew up as a competitive figure skater. I had the dream of becoming an Olympic champion, and that was always my goal. Through all my years of training, I went away and trained in figure skating from the time I was 8 years old. I went away every summer. I didn't really, kind of didn't have a normal childhood. I was very dedicated to figure skating, and yeah, I went out of town to the big city and trained every summer. And one year I live in Canada, so one year I went across to a completely different province to train with a coach, two coaches actually that had been my coaches when I was younger, and I trained with them for a whole summer in another province. And uh, I think a big part of, I had amazing coaches as well as amazing parents, and being the reiteration of, you can do anything you set your mind to. You have to visualize what you want to do. That, in the respect of figure skating, ended up playing a big role in setting me up in a good way for adulting. Um, and I remember, we talk a lot, we talk a lot about, we hear a lot about manifestation these days. Manifestation is a big thing, and visualization and visualizing the life you want. I realized that just recently, I sort of reflecting back on my childhood, I realized that my coaches would get me to do these visualization exercises where, before I was going to go compete in an event, you'd be in a new skating rink. So you'd have your whole program mapped out for your skating rink. So, and in your skating rink, the Zamboni comes out of a certain area, the warming room is in a certain area, the lobby, the exit doors, and things are just, the bathrooms, like everything is positioned in a certain way. The bleachers are in a certain place, and you get used to performing your program in that space. And if you've ever watched figure skating, there's a lot of spinning and a lot of jumps with a lot of turns, and you can get disoriented very easily. And so going to a new rink, especially if you'd never performed or skated in that arena competition, you've only got one, usually one practice ice session, and then you have a 3-minute warm up, I think, 3 or 4 minute warm up, usually before you actually perform for the judges and for the audience. And so my coaches taught me to, in the morning of the skate and the day before, like whenever there was a few minutes to kind of ground myself and get in a good headspace for competing, I'd go up to the top of the rink or arena. Sometimes they're big arenas, and stand up at the top of the arena, and there'd be nobody on the ice. It would be usually 6 o'clock in the morning. People were starting to just come into the arena, and I would just stand up there and I would visualize my entire program. So I would map out the arena, and I'd look at, okay, where does this, what are things that that are gonna catch my eye when I'm coming out of a spin or a jump, and they're gonna be identifiable to me. So the where the Zamboni comes out of is a very identifiable place in an arena. There's a big tunnel usually and a door and a thing. So knowing where the Zamboni is, and my coach would say, where do you see your program starting in this arena? And I'd have to think about it for sometimes for a second and go, okay, well, to me, that's the warm room there. So I start my program at that end. And the coach didn't care. It wasn't either here nor there. They might have a different idea, but it's like whatever works for the skater, that's where you think you start your program. Great, because you don't want to get turned around in the middle of your program and start going the wrong direction, and you get all screwed up and you get vertigo. Suddenly you're going the wrong way and you're all backwards, and it can be scary. So I would stand up there at the end of the arena and I'd watch myself. So I was like 10 years old, and so I would focus and visualize my entire program, and I would do it a few times. But I remember standing up there and watching myself, and I would place myself where I started, and I would go through the whole routine, really feeling it in my body, like feeling how I'm going into a jump and I'm going to turn, it's an axle, and I'm going 1.5 rotations, and I'm going to land perfectly on my one leg, and I'm going to glide out of that. And I would watch all my footwork and all my spins, and I would execute them perfectly in my mind as I went through my program, visualizing. And I would end, and I would, and I would imagine applause. Because I was like such a sucker for applause at such a young age, because I was 4 when I skated in my first ice show. And oh man, hearing that arena full of applause at us little whatever we were, little chickens or something, 4 years old, I don't know what we were. But oh yeah, I got addicted to applause at a young age. So I would visualize the whole thing, the applause, and even my curtsying. So you curtsy to the judges and curtsy to the audience and skate off. Like I would visualize the whole thing. And this one, I was just remembering recently while I was listening to stuff on manifestation and feeling in your body and stuff. And I was thinking back to this one competition when I was 11, and I was skating really well. I didn't put any jumps. Some of the kids would pack their programs with jumps and even spins sometimes that they weren't quite nailing. Like they just wanted to show the judges that they're trying in that level, it was juvenile. Yeah, that would have been juvenile. I was 11. And so I was landing an axle. So some of the kids were packing their programs with a bunch of doubles that they couldn't land. And I just said to my coach, no, I want to skate a clean program. There's more points, and it just feels better if you skate a clean program. If you're wiping out half the time or putting your foot down or flubbing your jumps, it's just like that's not you're missing the point, right? It's like, yes, you can make mistakes in your program, and a lot of people do, obviously, but you typically shouldn't really put stuff in your program for competition that you're not doing consistently. And there's a metric of, you have to land it this many times consistently before it goes in your program. So I was doing a clean program. I was comfortable with all my jumps and all my spins, and I loved my music. I think I can't remember what it was, but my music for my program, I loved it. It suited me. I felt really good about it. I had my Dorothy Hamill haircut, which anybody of my generation might remember Dorothy Hamill, a American Olympic champion figure skater in the 80s, I guess, maybe 70s, I guess, and 80s. And anyway, so I visualized my program. Then it was time to like, and we used to do figures. So figure eights, we used to be part of figure skating, where we would do this whole competition section where it was very quiet and you went out on the ice and you performed these figure eights in silence. And anyway, they got rid of that because it wasn't an audience. No, audiences didn't like that because they didn't understand what was happening. But it was all about perfectionism, which I talked to you about in another, I'll talk to you about in another episode. But it was about being as perfect as possible, tracing a line on figure eights and doing turns, and you're trying to get them perfect. Anyway, so we used to have to do figures. We had to do a certain number of figures that you drew out of a hat. And then we did our Freeskate semifinal. And then, no, then we did our Freeskate qualification round. But then it was after the qualifications, then you just skated your program. And then you got an overall score. You got a score for your figures, which I was always really good at figures. You got a score for Freeskate. And then you got a score for overall. And I said to my coach and my mom, we were hanging out in the bleachers, kind of getting ready. And I said to my mom and my coach, I'm going to come first in figures, first in free skate, and first overall. I'm going to win my category. I'm going to win juvenile ladies. And I remember my mom and my coach's faces just like, wow, well, that's really great, Carol Ann, but you might not win. Like if you don't win, it's okay, but that's great that you're positive, but you might not win. And I'm like, I was annoyed. I was like, I'm coming first in figures, first in free skate, and first overall. So just like, never mind. Because I think I wanted this doll that my best friend had. And I think my mom promised me, and I wasn't hugely into dolls. I was mainly into dolls because my best friend was right into dolls. So she had this doll. I wanted the doll. So my mom was like, okay, bribery was a thing. Okay, if you win, I think she even said, if you get a medal, you can have that doll. She was like, she's not going to get a medal. Because typically the judges didn't really know us we were from a small town. They knew all the skaters from the clubs that were in the big city where the competitions were. And so typically we didn't place that great usually when we went to competition in the big city. So both my mom and coach were like mortified. Oh my God, she's going to be devastated when she comes sixth or something, but I was so prepared, and I really believed the visualization. When I did the visualization of watching myself do my program, and I was just committed. I was like, nope, and I was too young to realize how hard what I was about to do was. I was like, no, this is what's happening. I'm winning everything. So like, sure as shit, this 11-year-old little kid went out and came in first in figures. I skated like flawless figures for my age group. I fucking kicked ass in my solo. I did the perfect clean program. I didn't try any jumps that I couldn't land. I landed all my jumps, and my spins were flawless. And I was so excited and happy, and I just had a big smile on my face, and I was just performing. And I came first, and I fucking won juvenile ladies. I got a gold medal. I will never forget that. And I think mainly, never mind. Yeah, the applause was always super addictive, and I loved the applause. And I loved going up on the podium and getting the gold medal and all that, and all the praise. And it was so exciting, and getting your picture in the newspaper when you got home. But I'll never forget that commitment of basically what I was going to say about manifestation. They talk about manifestation in terms of like, visualize yourself getting that, achieving that goal or having that job or getting that thing or whatever. And like you have to feel it in your body, in your cells. You have to feel that you're already there, you're already getting it. You have to really like, and it's true, because if you say you can't do something, you're right. You're, if you don't believe you can do something, you ain't doing it. So you have to believe it's possible. And I think I'll always remember that, in terms of that was like a really uh my first time manifesting my reality, and without knowing that's what I was doing. It was just visualizing this is, and I was committed to it. I really wanted it. And so I took the steps required to get there. I worked my ass off. I went skating every day. I think we skated like 25 hours a week as I was 11, but I skated every single day, early mornings, after school, weekends, all day on weekends, like, and trained. And we went to dance class training and stretch class training and strength training. Like, it was my life. So I took steps to get there, but I believed in myself, and it helped that my parents believed in me. They were my number one fans, which was so amazing as a kid to have great parents like that, because I know a lot of people don't necessarily have that kind of relationship with their parents, but they were my number one fans, and totally supported me and believed in me. And my coaches were always amazing. And so them telling me in general, you can do anything you set your mind to, set me up in a good way, that I've always believed if there's something I wanted to do, I just need to figure out what actions I need to take, and head in that direction, and make it happen. And it's kind of lately I've been talking to different friends who don't believe that they can do whatever they set their minds to. And of course it's within reason, obviously, like probably there's things that physically or whatever you can't do, but if you want something bad enough, you can make it happen in whatever way is possible for you. But I actually have friends that have admitted to me that they don't think they can do this, or they don't think they can do that. And it's sad, because yeah, you're right. If you say you can't do something, well, you're right. You've already decided that you can't do it. And it's heartbreaking to think that people grow up in the world not believing that they can do things. Because if you want something bad enough, you like, I didn't become Olympic champion. I It was a conscious decision. I decided to uh, stop competing in 11th grade, because I knew what it took, what it was going to take. And it became, I was 16, and the choice was finish high school in my hometown with my friends in my class and have a life, have a real like high school experience, or move out of town, move to a strange city, train full time, and um, do my less schooling, basically finish my grade 12 at the rink. Basically, I would do my lessons kind of homeschool style at the rink, and live at the rink for grade 11 and 12. And I made the conscious decision that no. And my mom said that she didn't think I had the killer instinct, which is true. That's like, you have to want it bad enough that you're willing to do anything, and you're willing to risk anything if to get to certain levels, like Team Canada and that sort of thing. So yeah, I didn't believe that I could do it. And so I was right. I didn't do it. I made a choice, and I decided to have a high school experience, and that was good too. That was good. I had fun. But yeah, whatever you think you can or can't do, you're right, because you've already decided. So I just wanted to share a bit of reflection on manifestation. Really is just deciding that you want to do something, and believing in yourself that you can do it, and that you just need to take some steps towards doing it and making shit happen. So whether it's a career change, or a new hobby, or a new activity, or climbing a mountain, or traveling to Paris, make the decision and fucking do it. Don't wait, because this is the youngest you're ever going to be. You never know what's going to happen next week or what's around the corner. fuck it, just fucking do it. Don't wait. So don't let your brain get in the way and talk you out of things. Just believe in yourself and do it, and let's fucking kick ass in this next chapter of our lives, and let's do the things that we really want to do. Okay? So I'll see you next time. Bye for now.